Joe has been my friend now for the last several years since I've been in AgriLife. Joe Minshew over in Amarillo is our Texas Emergency Management Coordinator for the Amarillo region. And one thing I've learned about Joe, I'm going to tell you two things about him. The first thing I always know about Joe is that he's got a smile on his face. He's always happy. And he brightens our day every time we have meetings with him. And the second thing I know is he's a professional's professional. And Judge Bryant works with him a lot, and George and I talk about that a lot. So, Joe, I appreciate all you do. Thank you for being here today to share. So I'm going to turn it over to you and let you introduce our other guest speaker, and you guys just take it away.
All right, thank y'all for having me. That was a little more of an introduction probably than he should have done. But again, my name is Joe Minshew with the Texas Division of Emergency Management. We are the newest state agency underneath the Texas A&M system. Woo! I knew there had to be one.
There's more than one.
Oh, goodness. Let me just sit on this side of the room. I am an Aggie by job, not by school. So. I'm just going to go over real briefly kind of how emergency management works in the state, and that way everybody has an idea. When you see the Forest Service show up, when you see the Department of State Health Services, when you see the Red Cross, when you see different tools that we have in our tool bag show up, you understand how those got there and why they're there. So, in the state of Texas, the county judge or mayor in that jurisdiction is the emergency management director for that jurisdiction. They are ultimately responsible for everything that happens with that emergency. Everything starts at the local level and goes up, and we'll see that here in a minute. So if you do see the Forest Service or TxDOT coming in to do additional duties that they've been asked to do to assist, it's not a good day. This right here is the map. This has been on a slide, I think, for 20 years for PowerPoints, and I just keep copying and pasting onto new slides. It all starts right here at the local level. All disasters start right here. As soon as that disaster happens, that county, that city is going to exhaust all of their resources before they ask for help. So if they need help, they can do one of two things. They can reach out to other local governments, so county to county, city to county, and those counties directly around. They're going to reach out and ask them for help. This may be a type of disaster where we're going to look to volunteer groups, business, industry, individuals. I've heard of major disasters where, industries that are within that county may buy or loan a generator for the city hall to run so that can keep the city up and running. So we've exhausted all of these resources here. Now we're going to go up to the disaster district. I'm going to touch on this real briefly because it's kind of a lot of acronyms, and all it is a bunch of state agencies working under the direction of DPS, the Highway Patrol Captain, and myself. So when it says DDC members, that's all the different state agencies. So we've got Don here with the Department of State Health Services. He's one of the tools in the tool bag. We've got volunteer groups. We've got Betsy with the Red Cross back there. I mean, we could not do, most disasters recovery comes from volunteer organizations. And then again, we can reach out to business or industry. If we exhaust all of our resources here at the local level, and whenever I say the local level, I'm talking about from the top 26 counties. Then we're going to reach down to Austin to the State Operations Center, and that's when it's going to be a really bad day then. So here, this is just going to kind of go through it real quick. So if a local jurisdiction calls me and says, hey, we need the Forest Service, we've got a big fire. I'm going to say, okay, where's it at? How big is it? And who all do y'all have on it? well, we don't have anybody on it, but we think the Forest Service should come, help us. The local it's the locals' problem first, right? So we're not gonna send help if the local jurisdiction isn't even involved with it. We're gonna ask if you've asked for mutual aid. Now, a lot of this is probably dependent upon the day. If it's a 80-mile-an-hour red flag day, we're not going through all these questions. If you call me and say, we've got a fire, we're getting help. So, again, cities coordinating with the county, then we're going through the DPS office to see what actual resources are needed. Then they'll turn to the DDC for help. The highway patrol captain is the one that kind of oversees all of those state agencies. We'll call them into our building. We'll set up an EOC, and we'll work there and figure out where those resources need to go and what they need to do. This here is a list of all the state agencies and universities that are in the tool bag that we call the DDC. So if you call for help from the state, we've got stuff and people. We don't have a checkbook, there is no money. The only time money gets involved is if we ever get up to either FEMA or USDA, and then that's a really bad day. Just this last year, Governor Abbott added all the university systems about the same time we got pulled into the A&M system, so that's kind of coincidental, but
Aren't you glad you didn't get called into UT system?
I'm being recorded, Andy, I can't say. So, again, if we can't, so say Judge Bryant calls me and says, we need 30 dump trucks from TxDOT to do this mission. I say, okay, Judge, how many of your own, we're utilizing all of our county dump trucks, we need 30 more TxDOT dump trucks. So I called my TxDOT representative in Amarillo, I said, hey, we need 30 dump trucks. He says, I've got 15 I can send you. We filled 15 at the local level, now we're gonna call the State Operations Center in Austin to the TxDOT representative down there, and they're gonna find those other 15 from outside of our 26 counties. That's just kind of a rough example of how that works going up. If we ever get here, it's a really bad day. Just know. So, there is federal assistance if we have certain thresholds are met. I don't know that any of these 5 counties up here would ever hit a federal assistance unless it affected a bigger part of the state, just dollar-wise. We've got to get about $36 million in uninsured losses before we can ever even look to this. So, and paperwork-wise, it may be a blessing, so we can edit that out. So, when Andy called me, he said, Joe, I want you to come talk, you're a great talker. I said, nope. But I know the people who can do the presentations. So whenever I say we've got tools in our tool bag, I've mentioned the state agencies here, and you saw all the different ones we have to pull from. But there is a lot of things we can do just as general citizens with the internet, with cell phones, with stuff like that to educate ourselves. And Mike Gittinger with the National Weather Service is going to come up. He's going to go over some of those tools. Some of the things he's going to talk about could be an app on your phone. If you don't have a smartphone, let me know. I'll give you one of mine. 'Cause I got 2 of them. Hopefully I can leave here without one. But truly, as citizens now, when we watch the weather or we get on the internet, they are doing a great job when they start talking about red flag warnings. I mean, they'll talk about that 2 days out now. Nobody should be surprised that we have a high fire danger day when they walk outside and the door blows out of their hand. That stuff is talked about more probably in Amarillo even than in Lubbock. So these guys do a really good job. He's gonna go over some tools that they have on their internet site. I mean, it's not for elected officials, it's not for first responders, it's not for fire chiefs, it's for everybody. And that's what we're here to make sure everybody knows where to get the information. So I'm gonna turn it over to Mike Gettier with the National Weather Service.